Hello everyone, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I am Ramon and I am a Christmas design expert and seasonal decorator here to help you feel more comfortable about your designs. And in today's video, well, I'm back in the studio. We're prepping the studio, you guys, for our Christmas season 2024. However, I decided that we could take a little break, and since fall just started, I want to share with you 3 of my favorite fall decorating ideas that are super affordable, easy to make, and they're going to create an elegant impact in your home. We're going to start at the door with a beautiful wreath that can transition into Halloween. We're going to create a beautiful urn that you can put outside or even on a mantle, and of course we're going to create a beautiful centerpiece DIY for fall. So if you are interested, please stay tuned. Don't forget to like the video and share with your friends on Facebook, on Instagram, and on WhatsApp. Why? Well, because it is free and it really helps this channel. And if you are interested in the Christmas season 2024, well, like I said, we're getting prepped and started, but I just wanted to get back to the fall season and share with you some of these beautiful fall DIYs on this compilation. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start with our fabulous Halloween wreath, and I just wanna mention that I went ahead and gave it a coat of this black spray paint to our form to darken it a little bit more. And then also I wanna do something different today. So instead of a round shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this just a little bit. So we're gonna put some weight into it, and we're gonna go ahead and make it more of an oval shape, because I feel like for this particular project, because the sign is longer, and then also because your doors are longer, I think it will look way better. And so now what we're going to do is we're gonna push some of these bristles down onto the middle of it to kind of cover some of it. Now, the reason why I like working with this greenery is because you see all of these ties that you already get when you have your wreath already. So what we're going to do is make sure that it's flattened and it is an oval shape, as you guys can see. So now I'm gonna put this to the side and I'm gonna put it right here. So what I'm gonna start to do is I'm gonna cut some barrels, and I'm not gonna measure it. You guys don't really have to measure it. So it has to be probably about 18 to 20 inches. And I want to do maybe, I wanna say, let's do 7 of each. So that's 2, 3. I'm gonna cut all of them and I'll be right back with you. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm gonna start with some of the orange ones, and what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that I do double barrels like so. And then what you wanna do is you wanna pinch right here in the middle, and you're gonna start on the outside. And you're gonna grab some of these bristles and just twist them real good. What we're trying to do is give it some shape. And of course, I'm going to alternate every single one of them. So I'm gonna do an orange one. Actually, I wanna do double barrels because they look way cuter than single barrels. Then you pinch, and then you do an orange one. Then you do a black one. I brought some of the plaid ones to roll. And as you guys can see, I'm going to alternate all of this, making double barrels. It is super easy. Then you pinch right here in the middle. You grab 2 twisty ties from this wreath. Then you give them a fluff like that. I'm gonna bring another orange one, making double barrels. This is an easy step. It just looks a little bit more complicated than it really is. But as you guys can see, all you have to do is grab 2 of those bristles, give them a twist. Now I'm gonna introduce a black one, of course, doing double barrels. Now this is something that you have to be really careful with, because if they tag on to something, they pull, and then there goes your barrel. So I'm gonna do that right there. I'm gonna continue to add some of these plaid ones. They are perfect for the sign. It has all of the colors that our sign has. You're gonna pinch right here, and then you're going to introduce it right here. Super easy. I'm gonna continue doing this all throughout the wreath, and I'll be right back so I don't bore you guys with this easy step. Stay tuned. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm about to add the last 3 barrels. So I figure I talk to you guys about what I learned on this particular class that I took. The lady said that the first thing you have to do is make sure that you do double rolls to give it all the texture. So what that means is that you go from end to end, and then you roll inward, and then what you want to do is you pinch and gather, and then you introduce into your wreath. You grab 2 twisty ties, or 2 of these bristles, twisty ties, and then we're gonna do one last one. So you basically open them up, and you're going to roll inward, both of them. Then you wanna pinch right here, and that's gonna be our last one. in this wreath. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you fluff them. You fluff all of this, and this is what it looks like. Now the inside is going to look a little flat, but that's because that's what our sign is going to sit. Okay, so the next step, or step number 2, is going to be to decide where do we want our sign to sit, and we have to make some room for it. So we have to push some of these bristles out so that we can put it right here. So that's where I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these bristles, and I'm going to just go ahead and tie it right here at the bottom of the leg. Actually up here on the top. So I'm gonna grab 2, and I'm just gonna do this to secure it real quick because we're going to glue it anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it right there. I'm gonna grab my glue gun, which is going to be my tool, and then I'm gonna add some glue under it, and then I'm gonna do the same with this guy right here, making sure that I glue it in several places so that way it'll stay. I'm gonna grab some right here, and I'm also gonna grab some right here. Just be sure you be generous with that glue so it doesn't end up going anywhere with the heat. And it is smoking, you guys. I'm gonna move my hot glue gun over to this side. So now that we have our wreath all glued together, we're gonna let it sit for a minute. And before I do that, I'm gonna bring back my ribbons and start doing step number 3. Okay, for this step, what we're going to do is we're gonna make some bows. And for that, I have my trusty wires. I'm gonna go ahead and give it probably about, I want it to be a little bit of a longer tail because we can always cut it short. So I'm gonna go about probably 8 inches, and I'm gonna do 2 loops only. And remember to always twist so you always have the pretty side of this beautiful ribbon up. So I'm gonna go like that, and then I'm gonna cut. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put this to the side, and I'm going to introduce my next ribbon, and it's going to be this beautiful zebra pattern. And I'm also gonna give it another 6 inches. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and do another bow right here and just go down like this. And then you twist to bring that pattern up. And then you're gonna do yet another one just going down like this. So now we have this, and I'm gonna cut right here. And so now what I want to do is I'm going to introduce yet another ribbon that I should have opened before I started. And I do like this lime green with orange because our sign has some lime green on the dripping on the cauldron. And then also I think the orange will really pop from that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce this ribbon with the glitter polka dots facing up, making sure that I know. Okay, so yeah, this side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it another tail right here. And then I'm going to do a cute little bow like this. And then what we're going to do is go down and then do yet another one like this. And so now I'm gonna cut my ribbon. And I'm gonna move these 2. So basically you have a 3-loop bow. Oh, it got stuck on my thumb. That is so funny. All right, so now the last one I'm going to introduce is gonna be this orange because we want some glitter. It wouldn't be a festivity without any glitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of this really pretty glitter orange, and then I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna pinch. What I like about this one is because it has a beautiful backing on it. So I'm gonna cut right here, and I'm gonna move my ribbon over here. So now that I have it all like this, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go into the bottom right here without even needing anything to tie it. What I'm going to do is just grab 2 of these bristles, and I'm gonna push all the way down. And then I'm gonna grab another one from the bottom, and I'm gonna tie them with these 2 bristles really, really tight, making sure that they stay in place like that. Give it a few spins. And so now what you need to do is you need to fluff all of your bows like this, making sure you have a black one going up, a pink one going up and down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dovetail all of these tails, making sure that they, like I said, they go up and down and at different heights and different variations. So basically just pinch right here. And all of these tails, I want them, like I said, some longer, some shorter. How cute is this, you guys? It's so modern looking, it's so festive, and I'm just loving, oh, I cut that one wrong. And I love it because it looks so festive and so cute. And I just think that that's what Halloween should be about, you know, enough with that spooky stuff. So I'm gonna cut yet another one right here. So how cute is this? It has a beautiful bow right here on the bottom. Make sure that I dovetail every single one of them and fluff all of my bows. And then what I'm going to do to kind of match on the top, you know, this one doesn't look, neither is this one dovetail. Let me do this before you guys clock me and tell me that I didn't do it. So what I'm going to do the top is I'm gonna spin it around. So that's gonna be the bottom of it. And that's why it has a bow, right? So now what I'm gonna do here on the top is I'm going to bring my two main ribbons. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring the black and white one. And then I'm going to do this beautiful zebra pattern. I'm gonna put it on top. And I'm gonna give it probably about 4-inch tail. And I'm gonna go right here. And I'm gonna grab one of my bristles and grab and twist. And that's gonna stay right there, right? So that's gonna give us some tails that we're gonna play with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my two ribbons, making sure that they're both, I'm gonna give it, as you guys can see, a loop like this. I don't want a bow because there's already a bow on the bottom, but I do want a loop up here on the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab two of those bristles and I'm going to spin and twist. Then I'm gonna separate so you can see both. And then I am going to cut with a dovetail up here, starting with the black and white, so it gave us some tails, and then this beautiful zebra pattern as well, starting to remove those ribbons out from sight. And then I'm gonna dovetail this one, and I'm going to dovetail this one as well. Perfect. So far we have the loop up here on the bow, on the top. We have the bow on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do the same thing that I did up here, but I'm gonna do it on the side. So I'm gonna grab my black and white, and then I'm gonna put my zebra on top, and I'm gonna give him probably about 4-inch tail, because you can always cut shorter. And what you're going to do is you're gonna start right here. And also be sure to intertwine them. You don't wanna have them all at the same height, like that. And then what you want to do is do a loop, but you want to make sure that both ribbons are together like this so that loop looks cohesive. You guys, I'm really hoping that you guys are learning something with this video, because I really enjoy taking that class, and I always thought of you when I was taking that class. I was like, I want to teach everybody all of everything that I just learned. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dovetailing right here. I know so many of you do this to sell, and I really do hope that you are getting inspired to make something new for your customers. And if you are just doing it for your home, well, you're gonna have the prettiest door this Halloween. And stay tuned, because we'll be doing some holiday ones, maybe even some fall ones like this, to give you even more ideas on how to do all of these wreaths. And see how it's filling up already? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna switch sides. I'm gonna go around, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing over here. So I'm gonna grab my ribbon, putting that black and white one on the bottom, and I'm gonna put them like this. I'm gonna cinch right here. Then I'm gonna grab one of those bristles, grab another bristle, and then I'm gonna twist. And then make sure that they are together. The secret here is that they stay together to create that loop. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is you're gonna go as far down as you can, which is what's gonna keep that loop shape. Then we're gonna grab our scissors, and I'm going to cut right here on a tail. And you remember to always also cut them at different lengths and heights, so that way they look more like tails and they don't look so intentional. If they look less intentional, they are more pleasing to the eye. So you wanna make sure that they're not all cut at the same length, because remember, perfection does not exist, so we should not be looking for it. All right, so far so good. That's what it looks like. But now, to take it even more over the top, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do the same thing, but now I'm gonna let that drop on the floor actually. So is this one. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to layer these two right here, and I'm gonna pinch, and I'm gonna start over on this side I'm gonna pinch and I'm going to go right here because we want some of this same ribbon as tails. And just go and pinch and swoop like this. And then what you want to do is you do a big loop. Remember to keep them together like this. And then you pinch and you go in. And then what you want to do is tie it. Make sure you do this. And now see, you see all of your ribbons. And I'm going to do yet another one, but I'm going to do a smaller one. So I'm going to do here. Then I'm going to go in right here. And then just grab my, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. And remember to dovetail all of your ribbons so they look finished. How cute is this, you guys? I cannot wait for you to see what's next. All right, so we have two swoops, two loops right here. All of our ribbons need to be split so you see all of them, all of the tails. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'll be right back. Keep watching. All right, everyone, so we've added our ribbons, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some greeneries because it shouldn't be a wreath without some greenery. And you know what I like to do is cut all of my greeneries at once. So what I'm gonna do is do that right ahead, and then we're gonna start inserting those, but I'm going to put them right here to the side. And I have a boxwood, then I have this beautiful longer boxwood, which is what's gonna give our wreath some height. So we're gonna cut that one as well. I'm gonna put this guy over this side. And then I have this really pretty flower that has purple in it that is gonna be more towards the inside of it. So there's some beautiful flowers in our wreath. And there's gonna be some other elements that I will show you. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these beautiful flowers wherever I want them. So I'm gonna start right here in the middle. And so here's the top of it. I'm gonna do is add some right here. And when you do that, you will have to look for a place. And then let me move these guys over to this side. What you need to do is add some glue to it right here and right here, if that's where you want them, okay? And let me move this over here. I'm gonna start adding some of these beautiful flowers here and there so they pop off like this. Remember, what happens on the left happens on the right. I'll take this tag off. And what goes up must come down. And be sure to intertwine them also everywhere like this. I'm gonna put one right here on the bottom. And see how that little bit of greenery just gives your wreath a little bit of pizzazz. And what I'm gonna do is add some glue to it right here, like so. And then this one right here, and another one right here, and one more right here. And that will hold them into place. So now what I'm going to do is, this one I'm going to put a little bit more glue to it. That'll run down and then it'll attach to some greenery. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these really beautiful boxwood, but this one I want it more towards the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it behind my ribbon and just leave it there. And I'm going to remember, what goes up must come down. And because I have the bows right here, I have to go to the side right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some glue and put it in. And so now I'm gonna do the corners coming out of my ribbon. So I'm gonna grab one right here. And the other thing you can do is you can add glue to it like this, but you're gonna waste a lot of it because it's going to run out. So where you just add it into the stem, when it's already there, then it goes in. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna, instead of adding it, I'm gonna add it right here behind the boot. And then what I do is I grab my hot glue gun and just let it run a little bit down. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring some of this down over here in between my bows, and then also here. And I'm gonna add like that, and then some right here. Voila, so we have two types of greenery already in it, and now what I'm gonna add is some of this beautiful greenery with a purple flower as well. And like I told you, I'm gonna go up here on the top, so I'm gonna add one. And then you wanna do the longest ones up on the top and the bottom, and the short ones on the side, because you want it to be longer versus wider. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring some of this right here in the bow, like so. If I can get it in here. It's getting a little tight. You want to mix it into your bow. I'm going to go over to this side. Remember the longer ones and the longer ones on the top, the shortest ones on the side, because you want to keep that oblong shape or that longer shape. I'm going to add one right here, and immediately I'm going to move over to the other side over here, making sure that I put it somewhere where it's going to show. And sometimes it's getting tight, so like that. And so now this one I'm gonna probably put somewhere. I'm gonna cut it in half because it's too long. And that's another thing you can do, is just cut them in half, so that way you keep that oblong shape. And look how that tiny little greenery just added so much to it. I'm gonna get ready for the next step, and I'll be right back. Keep watching. All right, everyone, so for the last step, which is going to be to add our ornaments, we're gonna do the more traditional way, and that's going to be adding our hot glue pen, because I wanna make sure that these ornaments really stay in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna dig into my glue, and then I'm going to add this ornament right here. Now, the hot glue pen does really seem to stick better to this kind of materials when it comes down to ornaments. So what I'm going to do is just swirl the top where the cup goes, then swirl like this, and then I'm going to lift up somewhere right here, and I'm gonna add an ornament, and just hold it for a few seconds and it should stay, because this glue really does have a lot of tack to it. So when you are doing standing sprays like this glue right here does really hold on better than the hot glue gun, which you guys can see. I've already tried, and well, they were falling off, so I had to get this glue pen out and plugged in. So basically just give them a little smear to it, and then add your ornament wherever you want it, and just hang on to it for a few seconds, and that should stick right where you want it. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little one right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it really close together to create a cluster just like in here, but I'm going to open, and I want them to be together like this. So I'm going to hold them real quick for a few seconds so they get tacked together, and that should really do the trick. Okay, so now that those are sticking there, what we're going to do is I'm gonna grab some of these black and white ones, and I'm gonna use 2 of them. You will see what I do with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna dig into my glue right here, swirl it around, and for these particular ones, I'm gonna open up right here, and I'm gonna go in here, making sure that I go in. We'll adjust those ribbons in a second. Then I'm gonna go opposite this right here, and I'm going to swirl right here some glue, spin it around, and I'm gonna go catty corner. Remember, what goes up must come down. And so I'm going to add this guy right here, and that's gonna tie in with all of our ribbons, which I think is going to be super cute. Just make sure that you hold on to it for a second while it tucks in onto your glue. You know, if it hangs on to the greenery, it does really stay, but it seems like all these ribbons the glue is not liking, so you just have to make sure that you hang on to it for a few minutes. All right, you guys, well, I want to show you how the end result looks like on the door, and as you guys can see, it is a lot of beautiful ribbons and ornaments, and the beautiful sign that says trick or treat. Right here you can see the little witches hats, all of the ornaments, and the little pumpkins, and all of the little tails of ribbons. I did went ahead and added these leaves with sequins that are purple, but I just want you to see how beautiful this looks on a front door. This is something that you can definitely make. It is super easy if you just follow the instructions on how to create a beautiful Halloween wreath DIY step by step. I really do think this makes a statement on your door. Oh my gosh, look at those little springy, twirly pigs. They just look so beautiful. And the way that the ribbons move with the wind, you guys, it really does make a statement. What do you guys think? Really gorgeous and magical for the front door. It is super easy to make and it really makes a statement. But now I'm going to share with you how to create a gorgeous urn that is super easy, super quick, and gorgeous. I promise you're gonna love it. Let's take a look. All right, everyone, so for this next fall DIY project, I want to show you how I put together the urn that is right here by the Ramon at Home logo. So many of you guys have asked me to show you how this was done, and I'm gonna take the time right now to show you how easy it really is to create a very elegant, elaborate, and dramatic arrangement for your house. This also would be so cool for the entryway table. This will be cool for a mantle and also for outside. Can you imagine having two of these urns outside by your front door? I think it'd be so beautiful. But it's gonna be super easy, so I'm gonna start real quick. I have this constructed, so the very first thing I wanna do, I'm gonna put this down. And sorry if I disappear from the camera, but I'm just gonna do it in real time so you guys can see how it actually is done. No editing done. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start with some of these fallen branches that I have, and as you guys can see, it's just a whole bunch of them. There is a hole on the urn right here, and I wanna plug that hole as much as I can. And this right here is going to basically serve as a frog for all of our branches. So make sure that you split them apart. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring the tallest branches first, and I'm going to add them, and I'm gonna try and go into that hole through the branches, so that way they lock in place. So I'm gonna go one down, then I wanna bring one up. So I'm gonna go opposite ways. Remember, what happens on the left happens on the right. It doesn't matter what project you are working on. So I'm gonna try and go through this hole right here. I'm gonna give it a little curvature like this. And it gets tighter in there, but these are the longest branches there are. So it's very important they go all the way down, as you guys can see right here. Then you give it a curvature. Then this one right here, I want it to spill forward this way. So I'm gonna give it a curvature and I'm gonna bring it forward, and this will be the last one that goes through the hole like that. And you bend them down like this. Like this. So now what I have, let me remember what was next. So what I have is this beautiful eucalyptus, and this also is a longer form, and I only have two of them. So I want to make sure that one goes back to this side like that, and then another one spills forward. I'm gonna push this branch down like this. And remember, you have to crisscross them and make sure that they go on the hole, or just like that. And as you guys can see, it's giving us all of the height and the width that we need for this arrangement. You know what, I'm gonna push this one right here. Perfect, love that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some other branches that I have, and I'm gonna add them just right in the middle to give it the height that I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. As you guys can see, it gives us some height in the middle, and that also is gonna help us with the foliages like that. Then I have this faux, I think it's a curly willow, but it's faux, and I'm gonna just add it right here in the middle just to give us support with all of the branches. Making sure that you have, if you had a mirror right here or a picture right here, you wanna make sure that you frame onto it instead of covering it. So I'm gonna make sure that I go, with this one I do wanna go in the middle, so I'm gonna find that hole, and there you go. See how now I have all of my width and have some spilling forward. So now this is the fun part where I bring all of the foliages. So sorry if I do disappear, but I have to gather all of my foliages. All right, so this one right here, because it's short, I'm gonna put it right here like that. And I want to make sure that I have some facing up. So I'm gonna add one right here, like that. And because I have some spilling forward this way, I want to make sure that I have some spilling forward the other side, just like that. And now I'm gonna go over to this side, and I'm gonna start spilling forward over to this side, like this. And I have a last one right here, so I'm going to go ahead and add it towards the back. Even though it is flat on the wall, you want to make sure that you have some balance on your bouquet. Remember, what happens on the left happens on the right, and you have to make sure that you cover all of your spaces. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this big pumpkin right here. As you guys can see, there was a hole for it. And then I have another pumpkin that I'm going to put right here towards the back. You see just a little peekaboo of it, and then I have a longer form of it, and I'm going to go ahead and add it right here. What that does also, it just creates the center where our bird is going to go. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab, actually, you know what? First of all, I have a little bird's nest that I had added in there. So I'm gonna add this bird's nest right here on the corner. So she's basically protecting her little eggs. And then I have some hydrangea that I put on picks. And what I do with this is I just ground that nest side on side, like that, and so it looks like it's sitting on the hydrangea, but it really is not. So then I'm gonna add this little bit of bittersweet, and I'm gonna add right here, and I have another one over on this side, and I'm gonna add right here. So basically this is the area of his nest. So now what I'm going to do is grab my bird, and I'm gonna position it right here, like that. And just like that, you have a beautiful fall display that can be used on a mantle, an entryway table, or outside by your door. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys, wasn't that urn so beautiful? As you can see, it's only a few stems and picks with a beautiful pheasant, and you can create that statement for outside. Imagine that inside of an herb. It would be so beautiful. But now I'm going to share with you one of my favorite centerpiece DIYs for fall that I've ever created. Let's take a look. Okay, so step number one is going to glue 2 of these blocks of foam into your tray. And I always like to leave the little package because when they crumble, then you don't have to deal with a mess. And then the other thing I went ahead is I just added a little bit of moss around my mechanics. So that way when I add my garland, if there's any spots that I missed, then you won't really be able to see them. So what I want you to do now is you're gonna go ahead and grab this garland and you're gonna put it down like this, and then you're going to go very tightly, very tightly. You're gonna grab 2 bristles, one on each side right here, and as tight as you can, you're gonna go ahead and tie this together to make it one and stay. And this is a tricky part because you have to make sure that you go over those corners because that's how that's going to stay. As you guys can see, it'll stay right here. Once you have your garland in place and it's all tied together, what you need to do is you need to start fluffing your garland to make sure that you have enough of these bristles to tie the rest of the elements in and covering some of that based on your centerpiece. Okay, so the next step is going to be to add some of this burlap ribbon from the dollar store. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and just pinch right here. As you guys can see, it's already dovetailed. And I'm gonna use my bristles and I'm gonna give him a little bit of a give, probably about a 4-inch give. And then I'm going to grab 2 more bristles of this garland. And that's why I like to use this garland for my fall projects, whether it's a swag, a wreath, or anything that you're making, because as you guys can see, you can use those bristles to really attach any element to your centerpiece. And this is going to be really elegant, not cheap looking, fall decorating ideas for your home. All right, so I'm gonna do one more right here. And as you can see, I'm going all the way into the garland, doing 1 loop, 1 more right here. And I'm gonna go as far in right here into the garland so it looks like it's coming out of the garland. And I'm gonna cut right here. Once I cut, I'm going to dovetail just so that if the ribbon is showing like right here, it's finished. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this other ribbon and I'm gonna start on the opposite side right here. So I'm gonna dovetail and then I'm going to pinch as far in as I can and attach. And I want that to really show. And I'm gonna make this one closer to the foam so you can really see it. And as you guys can see, the loops are overlapping as I go. They're kind of on the same spot, but because one is higher than the other one, they overlap and they look like that you put them together at the same time, but you really didn't. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do another one right here, and because this is wired, you can always go back and fluff at the end. I'm always telling you to fluff at the end. I'm gonna do one more loop right here, and they are probably about 4 to 5 inches if you are wanting to replicate. And then we're gonna spin it right here. And once again, this lazy Susan really does help me to spin my project around. And this one is too tall. As you guys can see, what I'm going to do is just pull a little bit like that. And I think I'm gonna stop right here, but I'm going to dovetail my ribbon. So I'm gonna fold in half and always cut towards the edge like that. All right, so that's all of my ribbons. I'm gonna get all of my foliages ready and I'll be right back with you. Well, if you've been following the channel, you know that I like to cut all of my foliages at the same time because that way it's faster. You now have to go back and cut all of your stems one by one. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip my trash over here. And what I'm going to do at this moment, I'm gonna bring my candle back in. I'm gonna put it right here in the middle. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this really pretty boxwood. And I'm gonna start right here in the corner, and that's what's gonna give our shape. Making sure that goes in that foam so you don't lose your foliages. At this point, if you wanted to glue it, you could, but you guys know that I like to recycle my materials so that way that I can show you more projects. I'm gonna do one right here on the top. Then I'm gonna remember what happens on the left happens on the right immediately, so that way it's balanced. As you guys can see, I started right here on the right, I moved to the left in the same spot, then I did one to the top, one to the right here, and then I'm gonna do one right here in the front. But because I ran out of this particular foliage, what you need to do is immediately switch foliages and then go over to the other side where you added foliage right there. And then I'm gonna add one of these right here on the top, and I'm gonna move over to this side right here, making sure that goes all the way into the foam. And remember, you can always fluff those foliages, those ribbons at the end. And this is starting to take shape. I love the way that the Christmas garland really helps me create a more fall feel to it. Remember what happens on the right, we're going immediately to the left. And that's what's going to really elongate our shape. And I have one more right here that I'm going to add to the front. All right, so then we're gonna move into this oak foliage. I think it's an oak. And this is what's gonna help us really fill in and cover some of this Christmas garland. I'm gonna go over here. Starting to take shape. As you guys can see, it's super easy. All you have to do is repeat the steps. What happens on the left, happens on the right, and immediately move over to this side and insert over to this side like that. I love the foliage color on this because it looks like they're turning, and that is my favorite thing. I remember when I lived in Kansas and I used to go running, and my favorite time to run was of course during the fall because you could see all of the trees and all of the evergreens just turning colors, and it was just the most beautiful sight. Right, so I'm gonna insert one right here, and always keep in mind what happens on the right happens on the left. And that way you'll have a very balanced centerpiece. Remember, we're gonna fluff all of our ribbons at the end. Okay, I'm gonna get my flowers and my pumpkins ready, and I'll be right back with you. All right, everyone, so I have a few sunflowers that I'm going to insert right here. I'm gonna start right here on the top, and make sure that you go sideways so you can really go into that foam, and you wanna make sure that you go all the way down. So remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So I'm going to swirl all the way around, and I'm gonna repeat the exact same step, cut a corner from that one, and I'm gonna go sideways like this. And then I'm going to go ahead right here on the bottom. So I'm going to give this one a little curve so it goes up. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab and just insert right there. Then I'm gonna move it immediately over to the other side, giving it a little curve with two of my fingers. I'm gonna put this one right here on the bottom. And what I want to do now is I'm going to add some of these beautiful pumpkins, lifting my ribbon up. Look at that. Then I'm gonna move over to the other side, and I'm going to insert one right here, making sure that goes all the way down. And then because I only have three, I'm gonna add a triangle. So I'm gonna add this one over on this side. So far, so good. But what's really going to make this centerpiece fly off your table is going to be the flyaways. And for that, I'm going to use some of this bittersweet. And I'm gonna start by adding two on this side. And I love the way this bittersweet pulls the orange from the ribbon, and it just gives it that flyaway effect that you guys know I love. I don't do a centerpiece, a wreath, or a lantern without any flyaways because I feel like they really just add that really beautiful natural look. And if you live in an area that you know where the bittersweet grows wild, you know, it like hangs on to fences and it's just so pretty, and it just twists and turns, and it's just one of my favorite things about fall in the Midwest. I'm gonna add one right here. Then I'm gonna add another one over facing this side, like this. Okay, so I just wanna show you what the centerpiece looks like with all of the beautiful bittersweet, the hurricane and the candle, the pumpkins, the sunflowers, and all of that foliage that looks like it's turning in the wild. I cannot wait to read your comments, so leave me a comment down below. All right, you guys, so that's all I have for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this little break from the Christmas season 2024 to create some fall decorations ideas. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and share with your friends. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm gonna put a playlist right here so that you can enjoy some more fall decorating ideas and DIYs. Fall has just started and I cannot wait to share more with you, and also the Christmas season for 2024. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, and until next time, you can watch more videos right now. Bye.